Hi everybody and welcome to today's assembly. I hope that you had a really good week last week, and I hope you enjoyed Red Nose Day. A little bit different from what we normally do, but I hope you enjoyed sharing some jokes with your class and were able to pick some favourites out. So I'm looking forward to seeing those when the posters are made and we can put those up around the school. And thank you to everybody who brought a donation in to go towards the Red Nose charity. I'm sure you saw on the television on the Friday night how much money and how much people were giving in to support the Red Nose charity so that they can support people around the world and making things better for them. So if you brought a donation in, thank you very much for doing that. That's been really kind, and we'll send all that money off to the Red Nose charity this week. I hope you had a good week last week. I hope it's all been going well. You've settled back into school well, and that you're getting used to those routines and those expectations, that you're remembering those rules that we have at the moment, which are different from what we're normally used to, about staying in our bubbles and washing our hands and all of those things that help you to keep yourself safe, but to keep other people safe as well. So I hope that's all going really well. And in your learning, you are showing the adults and each other just how well you can do. And that you're showing that really positive growth mindset, that you're not letting challenges beat you, that you are really determined to do your best and make the progress in your learning that you are so good at doing. So I hope that is all going well. Last week in our assembly, I talked about our value of respect, and I'm hoping that there it is, our value of respect, and particularly talked about and thought about how that value is so important for each one of us. And if each one of us, if you and I and your friends and the grown-ups can all show that good respect, each of those efforts add up to be a great effort. And each person's respect that they're showing add up to show a great respect right across our school. So I hope you can reflect and think about how good you've been at showing respect to other people within school and out of school, and that you have made an important difference to making our school as great as it is. So today's assembly, I want to think about the respect. I particularly want to think about why it's important to take turns and to be fair. So that's my question to you, first of all, is why is that important? Why is it important to take turns and to be fair? Maybe after we finish assembly, you can talk to in your class around your ideas about why it's important. But for me, one of the things that I think that makes it so important is if I'm playing a game, whether it's Greedy Griller or a different board game, Monopoly perhaps, and I want to enjoy it. I want people to take turns. I want it to be fair. I want everybody to have that fairness, that the chance of winning. But if we don't win, it's not it doesn't matter as long as we've enjoyed it. But it's when people start not to take turns and not to be fair that other people playing the games we might play start to get a little bit cross, a little bit frustrated, a little bit angry maybe, and then it gets spoiled. Those games just aren't as much fun. And even when in sport, when I used to play rugby, and I know if you play football or if you play netball or a team sport, that those rules are really important. They're there to make it fair and that we take turns and that the game then runs smoothly and everybody can enjoy it. And sometimes when we're playing those type of sports, we have adults that are refereeing to keep an eye, to make sure the rules are followed, to make sure people do take turns, to make sure that it is fair. And then everybody enjoys them so much more. So hopefully this week I'd like you to think about that. Whatever you're doing, are you taking turns? Are you listening to other people? Are you saying your ideas when it's your turn? Are you playing games and taking turns? Are you being fair to other people? And hopefully you can reflect as you go through the week on the times that you're doing a good job of doing that. And maybe the grown-ups might have time to help make sure we've got some time to think about that. Today I wanted to tell you a story about two children, two brothers, who maybe weren't as good at taking turns and being fair as you. And the two brothers were lovely boys. But on summer holiday, I think it was a summer holiday, it was certainly one of the school holidays, one of those holidays where everybody gets really fed up because the weather was awful. It rained, it rained, it rained day after day. And each day they would hope that actually the weather would get better, but it didn't. So they were stuck indoors. And we all know how frustrating that can be when the weather's raining and pouring outside, that actually if we can't get out and run around and enjoy ourselves and meet our friends, then it's hard. Well, Ben and Tom were like that. The rain and rain and rain day after day, they had just got really frustrated and they were getting really bored. They had played all the games they've got in the house. They played them again and again. They'd watched the DVDs they had. They didn't want to watch them anymore. They watched them more than once. They'd read their books that they had. They'd completed jigsaw puzzles that they had. And they were just feeling really fed up. All they wanted was a bit of sunshine, a bit of dry weather, so they could go out. Well, they were wondering, what can we do? Their mum had spotted in the local newspaper that came round and was delivered through their door that there was a competition. And it was a competition for a local bike shop. And the competition was to design a poster to advertise the new bike shop that was coming into their town. Well, Mum told them both about it. She said, Ben, why don't you have a go at doing this competition? The prize is that you could win a brand new mountain bike or a BMX. You can choose, but the prize is a new bike. Well, Ben and Tom, really, they were so fed up. They didn't really want to do it. But their mum encouraged them and she said, we've got nothing else to do. Look outside, it's pouring. Have a go. So that's what they did. But they decided to do it together, which was really nice. And Ben was particularly good at drawing. And he thought if he did the drawing, then Tom could do the colouring. And together they would make a good poster. Well, that's exactly what they did. Mum found them some paper. They got their colouring pens and pencils out, sat at the table. Ben started drawing. They talked about the ideas. And as they were chatting, the ideas grew in their minds and they created this fantastic poster. And Tom then coloured it in bright colours to make it stand out. It was really eye-catching with the name of the bike shop across the top, a picture of some people cycling in a park. It was a really eye-catching poster. Mum couldn't believe it. Wow, look what you've done, that's brilliant. The boys said, well, shall we send it off? Now, there wasn't long until the closing date, so their mum put it in an envelope, folded it up carefully, put it in an envelope, put the stamp on, posted it, and then they waited. And it wasn't for a little while that they heard And each day the post would come through the door and they would look to see if any news had come. And Ben and Tom were always first down to see, but each day it didn't come. And eventually they did get a letter, and it was addressed to them both. They opened it with great excitement, and inside they took the letter out of the envelope, read it. "We've won! We won first prize!" they shouted. Their mum came downstairs and said, What for the poster for the bike shop competition?" "Yes," said Ben. "Brilliant," said Tom. And they had. Their poster had been selected as the best, and they had been invited in a few days' time to go down to the bike shop to be presented with their prize, where they could choose a bike, and they would have some photos taken, and the poster was going to be made professionally so that it could go up into the windows and go into the newspaper each week to advertise the bike shop. Well, they turned up at the bike shop, excited. They couldn't wait to see the bikes. The bike shop owner was so pleased with the poster. He talked to them about how proud he was and what a great job they'd done. He showed them around the bike shop and they could choose which bike they wanted. Well, Ben and Tom both chose the same bike. They liked it. They were only allowed one bike, but they both liked the same one. It was a BMX, beautiful, shiny, brand new. One of those ones you can do all the tricks on and the handlebars can spin round. They were really, really excited about it. And outside the shop, the owner stood there with Ben and Tom next to them, with the bike in front of them. Ben was holding the poster, Tom was holding the bike, and the photographer was taking the photo so that they could go into the paper and that he could put one up in his shop as well. Wow, they were so proud. And that's where the problem started. Because the owner, as they finished all of the photographs and everything, said, "Thank you to the boys. Thank you so much for all the time and effort you put in. It's been I'm really pleased with the poster. It's going to be great to see it in the papers and great to put it up in the shop. So now you can go and you can use your bike." Brilliant, the boys thought. So Ben grabbed the bike. "Right, I'm going to have first go." "Well, no," said Tom, "I'm going to have first go." "No," said Ben, I did all the drawing for that poster. It's my go first. I should have first go." "Well, hang on," said Tom. "That's not fair, is it? Because it's my turn. I did all the colouring and that took much, much longer." Well, said Ben, "I'm still going to have first go. I'm older than you, so I'm going to have that first. I'm going to ride it first." "Well," Tom said, "this is just not fair. My colouring took much longer. It's much better, and it made it right." And the boys carried on arguing about who was going to have first. No, they couldn't decide who was going to take that first turn, and they weren't prepared to discuss it sensibly. Well, eventually the bike shop owner got his toolkit out and he said, "Hang on, boys. I know. I've got a plan." And here it is. He took out his spanners and he started to undo the bolts on the front wheel. He undid the bolts on the front wheel, took the front wheel off, and he gave it to Ben. He then took the back wheel off and he gave it to Tom. He then undid the bolts on the saddle and gave it to Ben. And then he undid the handlebars and gave it to Tom. Then he took all the pedals and chain off and gave it to Ben. And he gave Tom the bike frame. And he said, "There, boys, we have solved the problem. This is fair. You both got half the bike each." The boys looked at each other and almost had tears in their eyes. This isn't what they wanted. This wasn't what they planned. They were really excited about this new bike, and now they had half of it each. They couldn't use it at all. Well, the bike shop owner was actually quite a kind man, and he knew that this was just teaching them a lesson. And the boys knew that. And soon the bike bike shop owner, had rebuilt the bike. He'd put the wheels back on and the saddle and the handlebars, made sure all the chain and the brakes and everything were working. And he gave the boys the bike back. And the boys looked at each other, thanked him, and said, okay, so how are we going to organise this? We need to be fair. We need to take turns. And from then, they made a plan. And I can't remember who had the first go, but what they did learn was that they needed to take turns and they needed it to be fair. And that way, they both really enjoyed their new bike. So this week, see if you can think about what you're doing, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's being part of a conversation, whether it's being part of a game, whether it's in the dining room. Are you taking your turns? Are you taking your responsibilities? Are you being fair? Good luck with it, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Have a good week.